Sascha, Jack, and Andrew, appreciate it. This story, when I first got it, was crazy. Like, it blew up. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I was one of the first to kind of, at least on social media, launch it. Holy,
Yeah.
actually, I take that back. I think, didn't you post something?
Yeah, I wrote up a little article to try to to get people to realize what can happen. And you were gracious enough to message me and
That's right.
ask me permission to put it up. And I thought that was
Well, and that's what we try to do with everybody because there's always like a bunch of different sides of the story. Some of the stuff we get sent to us is like, could be total BS, you know?
yeah,
But hearing it from you and like, that was the main thing that I was like, man, I really respect that. That's because sometimes people's ego get in their way and they don't want to. But dude, when you wrote that, I was like, this is awesome, man. Because not a lot of people would come out and do that, especially to kind of raise that awareness, man. So that was like one of the first things I wanted to tell you. I was like, dude, that's freaking awesome that you did that.
appreciate it.
And yeah, because it's not easy to do.
No, no.
You know.
I have a tendency to speak before I think.
Well,
but on that same note, you can ask my wife and my family. Whenever something's happening, like car wrecks or anything, I'm always like pulling over, unbuckling while I'm stopping and racing over to see what's going on. So I just feel like I have this urge to kind of try to get people to do the right thing.
yeah.
I mean, I talk to people. I mean, I do hardwood floors. I go into people's houses, and every time I'm talking, hey, do you guys fish? And I just kind of tell them like, hey, please wear your life jacket. Please have a low
Yeah.
verb on you. Just something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many people don't do it. Yeah.
Well, and you by you saying that really is going to open up eyes. I think the qualified captain, and when I started this, it was a total joke. You guys know that too. I've told you plenty of times.
Yeah.
But it's led to this thing now where it's like, all right, this is showing people what not to do, and we can utilize like a mistake that you made to prevent it from happening ever again. That's the ultimate goal, right? So, but yeah, man, so this is cool because we've all talked on the phone, but never really got to like kind of dig pretty deep. I mean, we've talked for hours on the phone. I've never talked. I think I've only DM'd you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I was gonna dive right in with you. So what was the weather like? That it was a beautiful day, right?
No, it was about as perfect as it can
Yeah, July.
July 5th. It was glass conditions. I mean, maybe a breeze every 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Maybe a half a foot swell, 1 foot swell.
yeah.
I mean, it was perfect.
And yet you were by yourself,
Yep.
and
Because everybody was out there. I went out to 23 Mile Rock, which everybody knows is overpopulated with boats nowadays.
it's
So I felt
it's
fine.
insane.
I felt fine going out there, yeah. And then over to BHF, we heard that there was some guy catching some gaffer he's down at the Nashville tanker.
Mhm.
And I happened to see, I think it was 2 or 3 other boats all of a sudden heading that direction. Apparently one of them was these guys. But I was like, well, I know there's a couple of boats down there and I see 3 more going. I'm like, man, I'm just going to go ahead and go. So I started taking off and heading down that way. Saw some vermilions down there. So I stopped, fished for those real quick and then kept going. And, ended up down there in Nashville tanker,
Yeah,
which is more than I wanted to do usually, because I usually try to stay around 20 miles.
and then you had everything on. You even said it. You were wearing your life jacket.
Yeah, took it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I was taking it on and off all day, but usually what I usually did, because it was a double helm station, one inside and one outside.
yeah, enclosed, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So usually I stood outside. And it's right by the side. So I'd have it on for driving and I'd take it off while I fished.
Mhm.
And I took it off.
But dude, I mean, I was worked with Cito for years. I know that feeling. I mean, it gets hot all day long. You moving. I mean, it happens. But so yeah, you fell overboard. You were taking a piss, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
When you got in the water, though, like, what was your first reaction? I mean, that to me was like, I don't even think anybody can really try to fathom that feeling.
Yeah. So I apologize because I always get emotional when I talk.
No, dude,
It's horrible.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I can't imagine. And like I said, I still to this like, hey, having you here to tell the story is amazing, dude. It's got to be so hard to do, but it's awesome that you're doing it because a lot of people are gonna wake up and kind of realize, like, dude, the water's no joke, and if shit hits the fan, it's gonna happen fast.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
I've heard it happening so many times since. I've had it happen to a couple buddies of mine, you
Mhm.
know, of all ages. Just one of them slipped on a bottle cap, a water bottle cap. Just
Yeah.
slipped on it and rolled right over into the Cape River. I mean, anything can just happen. I mean,
And it
I've had all the background that I should have known better, and had all the equipment on the
you're
boat.
well
It
experienced.
just took one stupid decision to not put that jacket on
Mhm.
and roll over.
Yeah, and that's a lot of, people don't realize too, with this story, so yeah, your life jacket wasn't on, and
Mm.
that is to me, like how long were you in the water?
We think about 2.5 hours. I mean, on that jacket, I had a whistle, a strobe light, a waterproof VHF. I mean, if I would have had any one of those items, I
So
could have found somebody.
so you're floating there. I mean, at what point were you like, I mean, I can't imagine just trying to stay swimming. I mean, at some point you gotta get really exhausted. I mean, when was that breaking point? Like at an hour or 2 hou
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
I
you're
mean, I didn't realize it until I grabbed a hold of that platform on my boat when he pulled up. You just, I don't think you're thinking of that.
yeah,
At least not in the first 2 hours. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
um, there's a lot of anger, a lot of regret.
yeah. Did, did you see any other boats that were you trying to wave down at the time?
Yeah, yeah. There was probably 400 yards away.
Really?
Screaming, yelling. I mean, they're not going to hear you.
No.
Probably about 10 minutes later, he packed up and took off.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, after he left, and you're out there and you don't see anything, you start thinking, what do you got to do?
Yeah.
And it was kind of weird because usually I don't pay this much attention, but when I was driving down to Nashville, I noticed that the swells were coming in on my port quarter,
Mhm.
and I was heading dead south.
Mhm.
So when I was trolling, when I was trolling at the tanker, and I know where the weed line was, I know where Nashville tanker was, and the swells are heading directly towards it.
Mhm.
So I'll just start swimming, just a casual breaststroke, just to make some kind of ground, not to wear myself out, and just start swimming in that direction to try to get back where I knew some boats were about 3 miles away.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I think when they picked me up, I was about a mile. I swam about a mile or so, I think is what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah, you're moving.
So, 2 hours. By the time I would have gotten to the tanker,
It
everybody
is
was gone.
it is
Yeah, but in the open ocean,
it
yeah.
is crazy. Yesterday we were out fishing and diving, and we're diving. We're just going with the stream, the drip. I think we moved 13 miles, and I think it was not even like about an hour. We couldn't believe how fast we were drifting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we started at like the 190, and all of a sudden we were at Devils, which is pretty far north.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So yeah, it happens fast. So I'm just like you were just going with the current and trying to just hopefully see a boat, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to swim back to the tanker.
Yeah.
And, it's, you know, I had seen a boat. And what I figured out now is that it was actually my boat that had come around like way off in the distance.
Really?
Yeah, because I was actually not too long ago, a few weeks ago, I was talking about it to somebody, and we were going over the track lines and talking about it. But yeah, I realized, I believe somewhere in the middle of all this, my boat had gone off way in a distance in the north.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so what you do is you stick your head underwater, because you can hear
Hear it, yeah.
the water, sound travels better in the water. So you could hear a boat even though you don't see it. So I was doing that and just kept on swimming in the direction I needed to swim, looking for that weed line to try to grab some sargasso. I was going to take my shorts off in case it went into the night, because I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah.
How would you? Yeah.
So you're thinking long term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. And so was your boat it wasn't spinning. It sounded like your hydraulic steering, I'm assuming. So but did it
Yeah.
try to stay straight?
Yeah, I'd imagine it would have.
Yeah.
Because it's not electric steer, which is very easily manipulated.
Yeah.
And I didn't have autopilot. Thank you. If there was autopilot, it would have just kept going out to Bermuda.
Okay, that answers my question then, because I wasn't sure what it did. So it sounds like it just
Well,
I mean,
Sasha's theory on this is fabulous. It kind of jumps to the end of the story in a lot of ways.
that's okay.
But it's actually really neat because, I guess we'll get there when we start talking more about what happened. But, when we got on the boat, he was trolling 5 rods and there were only 4 rods trolling.
Okay.
We didn't think anything of it at the time, but when he got back that night,
Mm-hmm.
he called us up and he was kind of like sheepish. He was like, "Did you you guys keep a rod?
Wow.
And I was like, we were like, nope, didn't keep a rod. And go ahead, tell
Yeah,
them your theory.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I got pictures on the phone, so you can see where the last mark I made because I was marking bottom for future references. And there's a little wobble right after that, and then it just starts going. And guesstimating about 3/4 of a mile, it just starts hooking to the left, just casually going to the left, which maybe a little swell could have hit it, but
Yeah.
it just kept going. And then probably about a mile or so, a mile and a half after I fell out, it just does a 90-degree turn. And
Probably just
yeah,
it's
and
something.
my theory is that, and this is, nobody really knows, but I was missing that rod, and it wasn't an outrigger. I had those real cheap outriggers that sit down on a real low angle and
Yeah,
they put
yep.
the little metal sleeves
Yep.
in. So the rod isn't sitting at a 30; it's sitting really far down. So if a fish did catch it, and I don't think there was any debris out there, Sargasso wouldn't have pulled it, but
No.
if it would have pulled it and drag was set kind of light for my ISO, it could have kind of pulled it to the left a little bit and made that curve. But if it got out, if it took all the line out and it's tied off, then it must have just pulled it enough to make that boat just turn and slip out of the rod holder,
Sounds
which changes the direction of the boat. And then after that, if you look at the GPS, it did some figure eights and some big circles. And I mean, it was probably didn't go any further than maybe 8-10 miles from me.
still that's
Something like that.
far.
But it stayed in that vicinity
Yeah.
Yeah.
since it got turned.
True. And because this is 2 hours later when you found it. About 2 hours, right?
Probably.
Hour and a half,
Yeah.
I would say, because we were on the call with the Coast Guard for 30 minutes, just relaying this whole track.
Mm-hmm.
Because we knew from where he had marked a waypoint when he was in that straight line that he had been on the boat then. So then what we did with the Coast Guard after we kind of relayed everything initially was we just went through this. It was like a 20 to 30 minute process where we were just going like latitude, longitude, and just going through it. And at the ceremony later, they had this whole track. They had line, big circle, where the boat then 90'd and came down, and then it slung around like this and came back towards land and us. And they had that whole track mapped out for
So
us.
this is all awesome to hear this because I always was under the impression that it was just straight and it hit you guys or it was coming right at you. So that makes it so difficult on you guys because to go back and track, you have no idea really. I mean, you kind of have a general idea because it's in that circle, but usually I feel like if it's a straight line, you can just kind of cover those areas based on the current.
Yeah.
Um,
And had it been that way, you're right, it would have been a little bit easier in a sense because we would have just zigzagged the track back.
yeah.
That's where it came in that it was actually fortunate we had a second boat
Mm-hmm.
because that's where we came up with the plan. I would take Jack back on my boat
Mm-hmm.
because he didn't have the GPS track, put him on Sascha's last waypoint.
Yeah.
And I said, just do ever enlarging circles off that waypoint. And I'm going to go back to this big like loop the boat did. And I'm just going to go and cover that whole loop.
Yeah.
And then if we don't find him, we'll figure out something else.
So you guys sort of split up.
Yeah, we split up.
Yeah.
And this area, this was like a mile and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big area. When I was like in the far top part of this loop that Sascha's boat had done,
Mm-hmm.
I could barely see Jack's boat in the distance.
Jeez. When did you lose sight of your boat? How long did?
Oh, man, it took 15, 30 seconds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
from what I remember in the Coast Guard, and you probably know better than I do about this. If you're standing on the beach, you can see, was it 5 miles, and then your sight is gone because of the curvature of the earth.
I think it's something like that.
yeah,
So if your eyes are this far away from the water instead of 5 feet up, you can't see very far.
we always ask, depending on the clarity, I think it can be up to, I think it's 8, maybe more, but yeah, we always judge it when we see the tower. Like, okay, we're almost there, you know?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it wasn't
wasn't long.
In 30 seconds, it was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you guys see this random boat. I mean, and it's pretty much coming right at you, right?
Like right at us.
Yeah. That's
It
what
was gonna like we had to move out of the way so it didn't hit us.
and you guys were yelling, hit it on the horn, right? Or
Well, no, I mean, initially we were just dropping. We weren't even anchoring. We were just dropping to see if there was anything on a couple spots we had marked because it was just dead.
Yeah.
We weren't catching anything trolling. and I was on one side, he was on the other side. He was facing away. So when I was on the port side and I'm looking out and I look at this boat and it's just dead on the center of our boat.
Mhm.
And I was just, like, and that's something Jack will tell you, man. I get all teed up offshore. Like if a guy comes close to me, I'm like, we are in the middle of an ocean. You don't have to troll next to me.
No, I know that.
And that will get me going more than anything.
Yeah.
So this boat's like dead on. And so now I'm also looking at it at this point and I'm going like, oh, it's a cuddy cabin. This dumbass is on the back deck.
Yeah.
And you can't even look through. That's why I hate cuddy cabin boats. I'm like talking to Jack this whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you done with that damn vertical jig?
Yeah. Yeah.
And, then, he's done. And I'm like, I hope the motor starts.
So how fast was it going, do you think?
Oh, he was doing 8, 10 knots.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that about when you left, you think?
it was about 7 or 8.
Yeah.
I said that.
I wasn't sure if it maybe picked up speed.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're all fired up and this boat comes. So
I put the boat in gear. I did nothing more than put the boat in gear and it just putters forward and Sascha's boat goes by 10, 15 yards off our stern and it goes by and where we were sitting, we were switched positions right now.
yeah.
It goes by, we literally just went like this. That is so weird. It's like a ghost. We said it at the same time.
What was your initial reaction though?
It was spooky.
Spooky, right?
Yeah.
Like, did you go right away like, oh shit, we got to call Coast Guard or something, right?
No. We just were both like,
Yeah. Eerie.
this is spooky.
I think I have quoted it was eerie. That's one of you guys said that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So it rips right past you and took a minute, and then you guys went after it.
I was just like, let's go.
Yeah.
I put him on the wheel and I started looking for the air horn.
So it's got to be so tough though, because it's a completely enclosed Parker, right?
The front half of it.
Front half.
Yeah.
So that's right there is pretty tough to probably see because I mean, who knows? Somebody could have been down below, whatever. It's not like a center console where you can, have a pretty wide open view. But
Yeah.
so how far did so it went by? How far past were you guys like? Okay, let's go grab it.
I think it was pretty immediate because I know we
Yeah.
were like both teed up. I know my dad was like teed up about to like holler something as it came by. And then right as it moved by, there's nobody at the helm, either of the two helms. We're like, that's weird. And then that was where the eerie comment came from. And then I feel like it kind of switched to where we both immediately thought, oh, somebody's down in the cabin using the head or like taking a nap, just being super irresponsible, trolling a whole spread because the music was playing. The spread looked good in the back.
Yeah.
And it passed by like, 15 yards?
Yeah.
And it was just like, it didn't process in our heads that there wasn't somebody on the boat because it just looked too good.
That
It seemed right.
And yeah, and that kind of boat in particular, I feel like, yeah, you never know. Like some people that see that would probably just be pissed and whatever, like just let them keep going. So your guys' reaction though was like, oh, we got to go, like we got to go check this out.
Yeah. So we started tracking them and I think we were 10, 15 yards off the stern the whole time, trying to look into we could see no one was on the back deck. We could kind of little bit see into the cabin, got the air horn out, started hitting it with blasts, and then just started having like a conversation about how we were going to deal with this.
Yeah. So yeah, how'd you guys deal with that though?
I know at first we talked about, we're like, should we board the boat? And I was like, man, that feels so weird jumping on somebody else's boat.
Yeah.
At that point, we were like, I think we were 39 miles from Topsail Inlet. So I don't know how far offshore,
Yeah.
at least like 35 miles offshore. And we're like, all right, we'll do like 3 more blasts
Yeah.
and give it 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
As we're almost like putting it off. And then at that point, we did 3 more blasts and 2 more minutes. We're like, I guess we got to go ahead and jump on. And that's when I said I would jump on because my dad's kind of getting old and decrepit.
So-
No, just kidding.
So did you guys at all ever think like, okay, maybe somebody like had a heart attack or passed out, or did you guys think somebody fell overboard?
Yeah. I mean, we did have that joking, like, I'm going to jump on. No, I'm going to jump on. He's like, you're old and decrepit. But
Father-son
a
fishing
lot of,
day, y'all
but
have
a lot of that was also like dealing with nervousness
Yeah.
and energy, right?
Yeah.
And so I then, when it was decided he was going to obviously always jump on, then I went through like, when you jump on, I want 3 points of contact, all that kind of stuff. And then I said to him, I was like, are you cool with what you may find on board? Like I said, just like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because,
You never know.
I didn't know if someone had like gone out there and killed themselves,
Mm-hmm.
done whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And So then it was like once we'd gone through all that,
Mhm.
it was like a switch flipped and we just like he got into position. I took the boat right up. It was like stunning how easy and fast it happened. And he was on board. He shut it down and I just hung back and he reeled up all the rods.
And luckily that day was pretty calm. So
Yeah.
relatively easy to get on the boat.
Yes.
Yeah. It was easier.
So you get on, shut the, I mean, obviously bring it back down. And yeah, what was your next reaction?
I think I was super, I thought we were going to find a dead person for sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it this morning, actually.
Mhm.
It's all because so my mom's a physician. One time at the dinner table, she told the story about how, it's like a super weird combo, but she told the story how this,
This is physician
guy,
dinner
it's-
conversations.
She told the story how this guy she worked on rowed his boat out in the middle of this lake and shot himself in the head and like didn't fully die. And they were like reconstructing him.
Oh, geez.
But I was like, so in my head, I guess it was like a little kid imprinted in my brain. I was like, oh, somebody probably shot themselves out here in the ocean.
And it happens.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it does.
I know, it's like super sad. So I guess I was so prepared in my head to find a dead person when I jumped on, immediately ran in the cabin, like kind of nervous, like jumped in and like jumped out. I was like, what the heck? And then it all clicked in my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of this before? Someone fell off.
Yeah. So you guys mentally are thinking probably somebody either maybe had a heart attack or killed themselves on the boat. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, then realize nobody's on the boat. Somebody had to been falling off. The lines were still out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I guess what was your next reaction then? I think you guys called the Coast Guard, right? Was that your immediate or no?
I had him double check the boat
Yeah.
for somebody.
And because you probably had to go down below too.
I was like, no, there's somebody on the boat. Please check again. And he like looks at me on the deck and he's like, Dad, it's a 23-foot boat.
Yeah.
There's no one here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no one's hiding.
Damn.
So yeah, that was when we went ahead and put it in neutral, rolled up the 4 rods,
Tied the boats together.
Yeah, we tied them together.
Try to start, all right, break it all down. Now what?
Yeah. Called the Coast Guard on. I got the numbers off of Sascha's bow. Called the Coast Guard, relayed all that. Jack found Sascha's wallet, came out, and it was funny. We were like, we should take a video of
Well,
this.
that's
Yeah.
the video I got from you guys, and that's where I think it started. You're like, "Hey, Jack, what do you got?" And
Yeah.
found the ID and relayed all that to the Coast Guard, and it was your first like pom situation, I believe. You said it on the video. Like, man, I've never heard this at all from the Coast Guard. Or at least we haven't never been in that kind of situation, and yeah. It's heavy. When I was working that day, I wasn't working with Cito. I was actually working at this marina that we're at right now, and we have a radio in there, and we heard everything, and everybody kind of locked up that day, and we were busy, so we're in and out of the dock office. But yeah, it's always eerie when you hear that stuff on the radio. It's like because it's a small community, everybody knows everybody. I mean, in some aspect, and when that stuff happens, it hits because we all do. We're all always out there. It can happen to anybody. I don't care how experienced you are, and you clearly are very experienced fishermen and watermen, and you guys are too. And you're in the was it Naval Academy?
Yeah, I was in the Naval Academy.
Yeah, that's right. How's that?
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm actually stationed down here. I'm at Camp Lejeune.
Oh, awesome, man.
I mean, so it's definitely nice being back.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
So that kind of I bet everybody was interested about that story. This story.
Yeah.
All right, a big shout out to the Water Sports Foundation for helping us out on this podcast. Their Lessons for Life project that's funded by the U.S. Coast Guard is an amazing thing. They help bring on people that have experienced traumatic injuries or life-threatening situations on the water to help others realize what mistakes they made and ultimately help save lives in the long run. So big shout out to you guys. We really appreciate it.
So, okay, so you guys got all the information, and how quick does the Coast Guard responded? You said pretty quickly, right?
Oh, they were immediate. Yeah.
I was shocked. I didn't think the radio was going to reach out that far.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of a heated topic right now. There's been a couple boats that have been, I mean, just the one recently that there's a Cape Horn that went missing, and they're one of the boats found them. They had trouble. They were like 60 plus miles, and they had trouble getting a hold of the Coast Guards of, hey, we found the boat. But yeah, that's awesome that now, how long did it take to, I mean, you guys are communicating. How long did that take before you're like, let's turn around and then figure this out? Let's use his Garmin, correct? And track down these marks.
So, so we initially radioed it in,
Yeah.
told them what was going on. Then they asked us to board Sascha's boat and see if there was a GPS track. Went down into the cabin and started having to figure out his system. And then once we figured out his system, that was when we kind of went through this long process with the Coast Guard, 20, 25 minutes or whatever it was, just going along and literally dotting the screen along the track the whole way and relaying those coordinates back to the Coast Guard. And after that, it just kind of went like radio silent, which was a really weird, like I remember just being like, I don't know what to say right now.
Yeah.
And so then we just said, well, we're going to go find him.
I've quote, we're going to look until you tell us to stop. I think I have that quoted on, I think you said, one of you said it.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes that whole process can take forever. Like going through the whole, you immediately want to just act. But I remember sometimes we'll listen. I'm like, man, what else do they need to know? Like, come on, can we get something going here?
Yeah.
So then I guess it sounds like the Coast Guard kind of assisted your, how you track, but I just feel like sometimes the Garmin is, well, Garmin's very easy to use, but then you guys can easily see the lines that he was on, and that had to have helped a lot.
That was essential.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you go offshore, you should have a track on.
Absolutely.
100%.
We were all the old ones.
Yeah. Clear your old ones. Have a track on.
And that's something a lot of people don't do. I mean, I can one for it. Mine right now looks like a spider web. There's stuff everywhere, But yeah, that's when I tell people this story, they're like, genius. Like, I mean, because you guys you're panicking too. You don't know what really like how to react, and that's sometimes the hardest thing. Like, as if you're a good waterman, you want to be able to know how to react quick. So now what are we in it? Like an hour and a half? You're in the water about an hour.
Yeah. Up to 2 hours now at this point.
So 2 hours. So once you guys started searching, how long did it take?
It was about 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Yeah, because then once we got off with the Coast Guard, we made the plan I would take Jack to the last known mark, have him do the ever enlarging circles off of that, and I'd go check that big loop that Sascha's boat had done.
Yeah.
Went back to the mark, left Jack there, and went off and did my thing.
Yeah.
And then I'll let Jack tell you. Then this was for me. This part was very important.
Yeah, I guess I was doing loops for a while, and then I guess maybe 10 minutes in, it wasn't too long, maybe 15. I found a pair of extra tough deck boots floating in the ocean, which I don't know how I found these things at all. It was almost like my eyes were directed towards them to find deck boots. We talked about how hard it is to see a person.
Yeah.
Find deck boots, and they were 5 yards from each other, just floating together.
It's so hard. I mean, I can't keep saying this, but when it's flat calm, like you guys are so lucky that it was calm that day. Because I mean, we dive all the time, and sometimes like free dive, and it's sometimes like I tell them boys, I'm like, do not go too far from the boat, because when it's rough, you cannot see them. Yeah. So you saw the boot, and about how much longer, like how further away were you? Did you? Yeah, I mean that
was immediate. I mean, the first thing I did was kick my boots off and threw my cell phone out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Just to get rid of any kind of weight, anything that would hold me down.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was immediate. So that's given current, that's exactly where I fell out of the boat.
Yeah. Yeah, that's smart. Drop the weight. So then how much long? I mean, then you found him after you saw the boot. How much did you find him right after that, or?
Actually, my dad found them. So I found the boots, and I radioed to my dad, and then radioed the Coast Guard, and that's when the light bulb went off in your head.
So I was up going back and forth through this big circle.
Yeah. And
listening to Jack on the radio, calling in the boots and all that. And then, it was just a light bulb. It was like, if I fell off, I'd take my boots off. And for some reason I said, I bet he fell off in the straight line. So I left the circle, went back to where the line made its turn, and stopped the boat, figured out we were drifting south. And so then I just went a little bit above the straight line, and then further south below the straight line, and then back up again, and then back down. And it was like on my second pass back down, I saw that big splash in the distance. And I was like, man, I was just like, that is either someone or that is a big fish doing something. And I just floored it, and then cut, another 50, 100 yards, and just see this arm go like this.
Jeez.
Just this big wave out of the water. And I was like,
what was your first reaction?
Well, you heard me on the radio.
Yeah.
I found.
Well, no, I didn't. So they cut out the like I can only hear the Coast Guard. That's what makes it even spookier when we're in the office.
Okay.
I can't hear your transmissions, but I can hear theirs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So if you go back and you listen to those recordings, it's like Coast Guard say, I have found him. I have found him. And like right after I got off the radio, I just whipped it up to Sascha.
Jeez.
Hustled out of the back and, helped him get on board.
So it was a third pass that he found. That he came up to me. So I was obviously heading in the other direction from where he was because he was back on my track. And it was just one of those, like every 5 minutes, I duck my head underwater and listen and then keep swimming. And I heard a boat and I came up and I was looking around, couldn't find them. And I looked back and I saw this boat just charging probably about a mile away, or guessing. And all of a sudden just powered down. And then it turned around and then it took off and went the other way.
Oh God.
I was like, oh, he must have
Dude,
like lost something in the water or something. And then so I started swimming. And then, about 5 minutes later, I ducked my head down in again and I hear it again. So I'm like, I look back and it's charging again. And then it stops. And it was maybe a little bit closer, and then it took off. And I was like, dude, this is just
he's just
nuts.
doing zigzags, trying to.
I don't know what he's doing. If he's chasing something, I don't know what he's doing. So on the third time, when he came back the third time and I see it power down and it's a little bit closer, I said, fuck this.
Yeah.
I start kicking my legs, trying to get my body up as high as I can, just start splashing like this, the water.
You have to be
and I was
exhausted.
screaming. Yeah, I wasn't thinking that.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean, it's almost like you don't have a choice at that point.
No.
Yeah, you're not thinking that. You're just thinking, get this boat's attention. And there was that, and all of a sudden it just started picking up speed, coming right for me. I was like, oh. And then it seems like it was, here to that wall over there, I realized that's my freaking boat. It looks like a white boat all the way up until the point where it's right there, and I see that ice blue color. Man, I can't even tell you. It's just
Dude, it gets me emotional. I can't imagine I can't imagine being in the water, seeing a boat, and then it turning around.
yeah,
I'd be like, oh,
yeah. It was one time in the middle where I saw a boat way off in the distance going, and you just, you think back to like the Castaway movie and stuff where he sees the boats out, out, and you can't do anything about it. It's just it's the worst feeling because you're perfectly healthy, you're perfectly capable, but you can't get there.
just can't.
Yeah.
And so you're kicking and everything. And it gives me chills, man. It's heavy.
Yeah.
Jeez. So
When you broke that story and, all the comments started rolling in on Qualified Captain, one of my favorite comments was this guy said, can you imagine falling off your boat and 2 hours later it comes back to
coming
get you?
back, yeah.
It was like, oh, that's
Did
good.
you like, well, what the hell? Like, why is this my boat? Did it turn around? Or you need...
Yeah, I wasn't saying that at all.
No, I know, but like,
grab that thing.
yeah. Did you know somebody was on it? Well, yeah, I guess 'cause it was going faster.
Yeah, because it was going and starting and stopping. So yeah, as soon as he powered down next to me, I grabbed that platform, and he grabbed my arm, and then I have no regrets on it. He yanked the hell out of me and got me on that platform. My arm was like sore as hell for like 4 days. But I don't care.
No.
But he got me on that
You ever
platform.
told me that one?
As soon as I like belly flopped on that platform, both of my legs just cramped up.
Yeah.
Who knows,
Absolutely.
what was keeping them from cramping. But as soon as I stopped, they cramped up immediately. And then a minute and a half or so, finally got into the boat and just bear hugged them. Yeah.
Dude,
And then he offered me a Gatorade. And,
it's still like,
and then I talked to Zero for about an hour for the ride back.
yeah. What were the conversations like?
Well, before that,
Yeah, let's hear your-
So Sascha lays on the back deck for a little while. Jack comes racing up. We tie up the boats together. Jack gets on board. Sascha comes through the transom door, and we sit him down on the transom, get him a Gatorade, and just let him take like 10 minutes and recover and all that. And then he was like, "All right, I'm good." I was like,
your adrenaline's going though.
I was like,
Oh, yeah.
no, I am not getting off this boat and giving you back your boat right now.
Yeah.
And that was kind of when we made this plan, like, Jack, run back. We're going to go to Dallas, and we're going to run all the way into Dallas because it was probably about an hour run, a little over an hour. And if I think you're good, then I'll give you your boat back at Dallas. And
So you guys
Call me when you
was
get home.
It was a good decision.
yeah.
yeah.
Because by the time we got back to there, and then You know, I gave these guys a couple rods that I had for souvenirs, if you will.
Not the best one.
I'd hang that
And
thing on the
then-
wall or something.
And then made my way back to the Wrestle Beach boat ramp, and in good old fashioned Wrestle Beach boat ramp, there was cops and fights and everything going on there. It took me 45 minutes to get my boat
I
out of the
thought
water.
it'd be like maybe cops. So yeah, that was my next question. Were there like everybody, the Coast Guard there
Nah,
to
nobody
hear
was
this
there.
story? Nobody.
No, just there was some people arguing about who's dropping their boat first.
it's
and
a shit
somebody,
show.
Yeah, it was horrible. Yeah, and I was just like freaking out, just like, let me get home to my kids.
Yeah. Jeez. Dude, this is a lot to take in. Like, I've heard this story a lot, but now I'm like looking at you in the eyes, dude.
It's-
I mean, that's crazy. So, and you guys were at a Topsail? Yeah.
Topsail Inlet.
So you guys split ways at that point?
Yeah, we stopped at Dallas, and I told him, "You call me tonight. You find a phone." I
You
don't,
guys,
because his phone was out there,
yeah.
and I said, "You just call me tonight, whatever happens." you
Yeah.
know. And so then we went home. He went home, and then several hours later, Sascha texted me.
Yeah.
When we got back, it was what? It was like 3 o'clock.
Yeah, it was so early. It was like
Yeah.
2 or 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
wife was sitting under the house, and she's got this hammock chair she loves, and she sits. And every now and then the wind will kick it just right, and it'll face the opposite. It'll face away from the water. We walk up. She like spins around, shocked that we were back. She's like, "Why are you back so soon?" It's like, the fishing was terrible. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." It's like, "Yeah, we didn't catch anything." She's like, "You didn't catch anything?" It's like, "Well, we didn't catch any fish, but we did catch a man." And then, we had
Yeah.
to tell the whole story about what had happened.
Yeah. I'm just surprised that you didn't have to meet up with the Coast Guard, go over that whole process. I mean, basically, once you told them, it was just good to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the part that was just wild to me.
Yeah.
Because initially, like I expected when I got done giving them all the coordinates, that they were going to say, "This is what we want you to do." And it wasn't until we went to the ceremony where, they honored us for finding Sascha, that they said, "Look, we can't tell you to put your life at risk and do anything in that situation." And we also didn't know that they had actually done anything that day because we never saw anything. And it wasn't until we went to the ceremony again that they were like, "Yeah, we had assets from everywhere. We had the
Okay.
ship out of Wilmington. We had 2 boats out of Wrightsville. We had 2 helicopters out of
Really?
Elizabeth City. And we had a ship out of Norfolk." You were the biggest event in the last year on the coast of North Carolina.
Wasn't that 4th of July weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Cito was out in the, probably about halfway out.
Really?
Yeah. As soon as they heard the first call, they went out. They were out the inlet before any other questions came up.
So, when I was with Cito, we patrol most towboat. Most franchises, whether it's Cito or towboat, don't do that. Cito, Wrightsville Beach, actually, in the summertime, we patrol for 12 hours a day. I think it's a good thing too. I mean, we just cruise around, and 9 times out of 10, we're usually the first ones on the scene if something happens. So, I mean, never seen anything that crazy, but some of our captains have say I actually did save a life one time. This guy was rolled upside down on a kayak. I just got done a job, and all these people are waving at me, and I'm filling out the paperwork, doing all that. I'm like, what the heck's going on? And I look and I'm like, what is it? Upside down kayak, like hauled over there, rolled the kayak over. Old man's laying like this, like probably in his 70s, 80s. I think he was in his 80s. He was diabetic in the middle of the summer, out on a kayak by himself, no life jacket, nothing, and it's hot. Rolled him over. Dead weight's heavy,
Yeah.
He luckily just started throwing up profusely, and I was like, I mean, he's breathing. Got him on, and had a doctor actually that was just on a boat next to us, pulled up, gave me a hand, and I was just like adrenaline going like this, like nothing else. So I called the Coast Guard, which was at the time, I guess, kind of dumb because I was right there by the North Wrightsville Beach Bridge. But I'm just panicking, and they were like, "You should have just called 911 next time." Like, yeah. But I drove. This is the best part. I was trying to get to land because the ambulance right there. I took the freaking sea tow boat right onto a sandbar. Like I was just at the time like panicking, dude. Now everybody's like, oh, come on. I was just gunning it, mud's going everywhere. Like, get me the hell out of here. But yeah, man. I mean, it happens so fast on the water, and I mean, when you're out there, you are the only one that can make that save a life, or at least give it some time until you get on land.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, it happens fast, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've changed a few things. I mean,
Yeah, it's
I don't go out by myself anymore. Yeah, everybody knows you can't wear that lanyard, the kill switch when you're fishing.
no. Then
I had the wireless one, and Fel Marine was great. You know, they gave me a couple on the first boat, and then sold that boat and got a new boat, and then they gave me a whole different system, a little bit better one.
yeah,
Ran into some bugs with it, and I was sitting on a boat ramp for a couple hours with the kids, and couldn't get out because it was shutting my boat off. So
yeah. It's
yeah,
I have it on my boat.
yeah,
I like it. I think it's a great product. There's a lot of different companies making it now.
yeah,
I think eventually, and I really hope so, that when you go buy a Mercury, Yamaha, whatever, it should come with it.
Yes.
Especially now that it's a law.
yeah.
Any boat
Yes.
under 26 feet, you have to have it on. And reality is, nobody's wearing it. And also, how are you going to be able to even enforce it? I mean,
Yeah.
like, how are you going to see it?
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, I was actually just at, and this is something maybe you guys would be interested to come to. We were at the International Boating and Water Safety Summit, and talk about heavy stories too, man. I mean, it's basically a bunch of nonprofits and found big foundations in the industry that help promote boating safety. You know, usually some of them, I think there's a CETO Foundation, TOBO Foundation, the Water Boating Safety Council, a bunch of them. And there's also a lot of people that come there with stories. I mean, a couple guys missing arms, legs from prop lacerations, drowning stories, carbon monoxide situations. So it's more, you hear all these stories and you're just like, I never thought that could happen. You know, and it was very eye opening. And they invited us there because, you know, that was kind of our mission now, is to start doing more talks like this. And we've got a couple good ones coming, about riding situations where people lose their arm and leg. But
Yep.
no, I think you guys should probably, maybe if you're interested, I get you guys tickets there. You come tell your story. It's this foundation. It's growing every year. It was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Don't ask me why it was there. But no, it was actually pretty interesting to see, like, you know, there's a lot of boats obviously on the East Coast, but there's so much water activity in the lakes, rivers. There's actually more boats, registered vessels per capita, I think, in like all the lakes than there are on both coastlines.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. The boating is huge. You know, like I was talking to people from Arkansas. Where else was there? I mean, New Mexico too. There's actually a lot of lakes there that I never knew about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we'd love to have you guys there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be
Cool.
great.
Yeah. It's you meet everybody from the Coast Guard that's there. Just great connections and people that love to tell the story. And then, I mean, this is kind of why people are, I'm not like a big host kind of guy. I've never done a podcast, but you guys are episode 3. So this is all getting new to me, but we're talking to a lot of people that have had similar situations to you, and you might be able to meet somebody tell the same story, man. I think you guys, it's in Phoenix, Arizona next year. Another weird spot, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to get them to have it here in Wilmington, but yeah. So it's also really awesome. You guys have been pretty close since. So this is how long ago? 2-3 years ago?
2.5.
2.5.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You guys stayed in touch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
First
we-
year we went out a couple times fishing. The first time, I think my PTSD was kicking in a little bit. It was there was a couple storms out there, little cells out there, and I think I was kind of freaking out a little bit and kind of
I,
went blank there and didn't know what to do.
rightfully
you
so.
know?
I get it. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, we've gone out a couple times. Didn't make it out last year, but yeah, it was
Yeah. How long did it take before you went back out?
about a week.
Oh, so you guys are the first ones to go out
Yeah,
together.
I
Oh,
went with a buddy of mine on his 31 regulator.
Yeah.
We went out and we ended up on the same spot, just doing some bottom. But yeah, I mean, I went out kind of immediately. It was kind of weird at first, but I went with 4 or 5 other guys on their boats,
yeah.
before mine. So But yeah, that's getting a lot better. Yeah, I had 3 or 4 nights throughout the first year where I wake up still out there.
Dude, I can't imagine, man. Like,
It doesn't happen now.
but it's
That's a good thing.
it's just something like I don't I can't picture it. And like I get this eerie feeling like it's seeing that boat and then it turn around and you're just like, oh
Mm.
man, it's such an incredible story. And like well, I can't thank you guys enough for doing this. And I continue to see it. I mean, you guys did another podcast recently too, and the more you do this, the more people are going to hear it. It's a big community. Well, it's big but small, you know. And the more we can kind of educate people in this situation and teach and show people there's this new technology out too. Like that, this I think the Fel Marine and all. I mean, there's a bunch of different companies now, but the wireless lanyard is awesome.
Speaking of which, this is the best one.
Yeah, what do you got now? Yeah. Oh, dude,
You know what I mean?
yes, yes.
It fits in your pocket. So you don't have to be like the guy that wears a life jacket if you're with other people, but this would change everything.
So when we're out of the tower, I mean, it's we spent a couple nights at Frying Pan, and Richard at night, like, I mean, if you're walking around moving, you have one of those on your up in your belt or whatever. I also have. You guys might like this. They're pretty affordable too. Have you seen the Garmin InReaches now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're like the satellite phones.
Yep. Text on them and stuff.
You can, well, they have a waterproof case now because we do a lot of diving. So I can put that on my belt and dive down over 80 feet. And if I came back up, can't find the boat, I can hit SOS real quick. Or I can, you know, it connects to your phone. So like if I'm on my way back in, I'd be like, text my girlfriend, like, hey, on our way back in, just let you know. But it's like $300. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
and that's the best part. It costs less than the rod and wheel combo.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
It's,
The InReach saved countless lives. It saved a life out here. One guy wasn't like, it was kind of one of those, it's a perfect thing if you're not under immediate distress and you don't really need to do the Mayday call. You know, it's like, hey, you just want to let people know. I think he had issues with his sailboat, his mast or whatever, couldn't get the motor started. I don't know the full details, but where I'm getting at is it's this peace of mind. Like I'm able to text somebody right now and let them know, like, hey, this is my coordinates right now. Struggling a little bit, not in like immediate distress, but so
something small you can put in your pocket.
yeah, it's like this
If shit
big.
hits the fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
guys, like I said, I can't thank you enough. Dude, like I get emotional myself, man, and now I finally get to meet you guys. It's been awesome. So, next thing we'll
Thanks
have.
for getting the story out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've done a tremendous amount, Aaron, getting this story out there.
Well, I want to get the right story out there though, because there's a lot of I mean, maybe not in this particular story, but today's society, like, there's the internet's crazy,
Yeah.
and
There's been a lot of embellishment in this story.
has there?
Yeah. I've seen it go up to what 4.5 hours, 5 hours that I was out there swimming. I mean, it's just come on, just tell it like it is.
Yeah. Well, that's why I had to call you, or at least I think I messaged you. I was like, dude, let me just get the story first and get permission, because you know some people don't want that out yet.
Yeah.
You know, but and hats off to you guys. Like, I mean, team effort. Not only like you can't teach that stuff. You know, I mean, you can, I guess, but in that kind of moment to put it together. I mean, you guys got quite a few amount of awards now too. I believe I released one from the Coast Guard, right?
Yeah, we got. Well, Jack got one that he can wear on his uniform, and then I got a meritorious service award.
Awesome, man! Congrats.
You know, it was really a nice ceremony. Sasha's family was all there. You know, my family was able to come.
It's awesome.
It was a good time.
Well, I think next thing we do is go out fishing together or something, maybe.
Yeah,
I've been on
absolutely.
that new boat we got.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Go to the tower.
I've always wanted to ride on an Onslow bag.
I want to go. Hey, it's right down there. You always want to go look at it.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Awesome.
No, like I said, I appreciate it, guys. This has been great. And yeah, it takes a lot of courage, in my opinion, to be open about it and tell the story. And I know it's emotional, but no, it's awesome, man. So thanks again.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks.
100%. Thank you.
All right, guys, I also want to thank Jack, Andrew, and Sascha for coming on today. It's not an easy thing to do to bring up a story that was potentially one of the scariest days of your life. So we really appreciate it. You guys coming out and telling your story is going to help save other lives and raise awareness about what could happen on the water. So we really appreciate it, guys.